Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Dan Hiscock, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Wing Commander Michael Hicks. This evening we are honoured to acknowledge General James McConville, Chief of Staff, United States Army, Lieutenant General Simon Stewart, Chief of Army, and the accompanying delegation. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Service Clubs Association. We welcome those members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors and students on behalf of St Joseph's Primary School from Merewether, New South Wales. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. If you wish to and you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land that they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read just one of the stories behind those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament. Flowers of the forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Albert Aitken. Albert Aitken, known as Bert, was born in Stawell, Victoria in 1881. By the time the First World War began, he was working as a station hand near Bundaberg in Queensland. Aitken enlisted for service in the Australian Imperial Force at Longreach on the 11th of January 1915. He was sent to a Nogra camp near Brisbane, where he joined the newly raised 25th Battalion. Further training followed as the battalion continued preparations for war. Aitken embarked with his battalion from Brisbane on the 29th of June aboard the transport ship Aeneas, bound for Egypt. The battalion continued its training, albeit briefly, in the Egyptian desert before sailing for Gallipoli. The 25th Battalion landed at Gallipoli on the 11th of September and was initially sent to occupy positions on Canterbury Slope before moving up to the apex below the imposing height of Chunuk Bair. The 25th Battalion spent much of October and November on fatigue duties and preparing winter accommodations. However, a visit to Gallipoli by Field Marshal Lord Kitchener at the beginning of November changed those plans. With the onset of winter, the increasing difficulty of supplying Anzac and the increase in casualties due to the cold, it was decided to evacuate Gallipoli and bring an end to the campaign. When the men of the 25th Battalion received news of the evacuation, in late November, all works to improve dugouts and create winter positions ceased, and work instead commenced to evacuate men and material. Australian troops began leaving Gallipoli on the 8th of December. On the 13th of December, the day the 25th Battalion was being evacuated, Aitken received a serious leg wound. The manner of his wounding is not recorded, but it's highly likely he was hit in the left leg by shrapnel from a Turkish shell exploding near the beach. Aitken was evacuated from Gallipoli and taken to the hospital ship Dunlees Castle. His leg was amputated during the voyage, but the wound and the operation were too much, and he died soon after. He was buried at sea on the same day. He was 36 years old. Today, his name is commemorated at Gallipoli on the Lone Pine Memorial to the Missing. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died serving in the First World War. A photograph of his name listed on the Lone Pine Memorial is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Albert Aitken, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world. Okay.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We'll leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over, but in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorials Development Project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.